Hello and welcome. I'm Joanna Junak and this is GFN News on GFN.tv. When the UK government decided to introduce a plan to ban disposable products across the country, many health experts reacted to this news with alarm. Last week, we asked Clive Bates for his opinions regarding this news. This week, we are hosting another expert who will provide additional insights and perspectives on this topic. Michelle Jones, editor of EC-Click and trustee of the New Nicotine Alliance, is with us today. Hello, Michelle. Nice to see you on the program. First, can you tell us briefly about yourself and your work?
My name's Michelle. I'm 48 years old, and I'm the editor of the vaping website EC-Click. I've got a background in engineering. I started on EC-Click just as a reviewer, e-cig reviewer. Then I started doing some of the vaping news and previewing new products. Sadly, our previous editor, Neil Humber, he died in February 2022. So I stood in and continued the work. And then I was very honoured to be offered a permanent position. And every time I write now, I do it with Neil in my heart. And I want to carry on his good work because he taught me everything I know, you know. And in May 2016, I became a trustee for the New Nicotine Alliance, the NNA. They were started in 2016 and they are a charity who is totally independent of any industry involvement. And we stand up for those who use safer nicotine products for tobacco harm reduction purposes.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's talk now about the government's plan of banning disposable vapes. Why do they want to implement this plan?
There's a lot of factors here. Firstly, in general, the UK government's been pretty positive towards vaping. In April 2023, they introduced a Swap to Stop initiative. They were going to supply 1 million vapes to smokers to just get them to switch to vaping. But after that announcement, the media started to turn a bit nasty. We've had a lot of stupid scare stories. Popcorn lung keeps popping up in all the newspapers. Then they're on about all the kids vaping, but it's really been blown out of proportion, which I think you've seen in many countries, and we don't know who's behind this. But it scared the British public a lot. So also there's a lot of healthcare professionals who are not on the side of vaping. They're very suspicious. There's some that even tell patients, you know, you're better off smoking than using a vape, which really isn't helpful. And then, I don't know if you've heard of ASH, Action on Smoking and Health. The UK version is very positive towards vaping, that they're really on side and see it as a harm reduction tool. They do a survey every year to gather information on how many vapers, smokers, you know, all the demographics. And they found in 2023 that 4 in 10 smokers wrongly believed that vaping was more harmful than smoking. I mean, it's shocking. That's the level of misinformation being put out there. And Scotland in particular, as part of the UK, they're very anti-vaping. ASH Scotland is regularly posting scare stories, misinformation on all their social media. I mean, I shake my head at some of it. They use popcorn lung. So we had a public consultation in the UK to ask the public's views on vaping, what regulation, and it's also they want to stop under 15-year-olds that are under 15 now will never be able to buy tobacco products. So it was all wrapped together in that consultation. And I've got some of the results here. So do you agree or disagree the UK government should restrict vape flavours? So in the whole of the UK, 46% agreed and 52% disagreed. So it's pretty even with there. And then it went on to, do you agree or disagree there should be restrictions on the sale and supply of disposable vapes? and a whopping 79.3% said should be banned. So again, this is from all those factors, the media, medical professionals, and obviously parents worried about children picking up disposables. So yes, so that was quite alarming, and that's prompted a lot of these moves. The government, the NHS, Cancer Research UK are all pretty positive about vaping still, but again, they're pushing it to people, adults who smoke. That's their words. But another political issue is the fact we've got a general election on the way. Scotland, part of the UK, is very anti-vaping. The main rival political party, the Labour Party, are anti-vaping. So it does make you wonder if it's a grab for votes, really, and there's something's got to be done, boxes been ticked. And another issue is the waste, disposable vape waste. I've seen it with my own eyes. I go out and I walk the dog, I see them lying around. And the most shocking thing is a lot of these are illegal vapes, because in the UK, you can only have 2 ml capacity, 20 milligram nicotine, and some of these, are 10,000 puffs, 50 milligram nicotine, and I'm seeing them lying around. So there's a massive illicit market already. And there's been some campaigns against disposable vapes on the environmental issues. There's been a campaigner in Scotland who finds them on beaches. So there are many councils who will recycle them. And some vape shops and retailers have got collection points, but it still needs a bit of work, the recycling side does. So all these clubbed together have equalled this ban.
You mentioned that we see a lot of illegal vaping products around at the moment. Does this mean that when the ban comes into force, the situation might become even worse?
Yeah, I mean, it's already here. Most reputable retailers will be fined if they sell them to underage people. So they'll be asking for ID. So where are they getting them from? If they're so prominent that they're already lying around on the ground, and this is with you being able to go in a shop and buy a legal one. So as soon as this ban kicks in, it's going to be horrific.
So, if disposable products are going to be banned, will people start switching to other safer nicotine products, such as nicotine pouches or snus, or will they go back to smoking?
Well, we're not allowed snus in the UK. It's illegal. We do have some nicotine pouches, but they're very low key. Not many people know about them. But I believe a lot of people will go back to smoking. And also, those who've had it in their mind, I might try vaping, it's just going to put them off. They're just not going to even want to try now, unless they've got a good friend who'll show them how to use it, or a good vape shop. It's just going to put people off, I think.
We've seen many reactions to the news from different groups of people. Can you share your thoughts on the public perception of this ban?
I mean, in general, most people want the ban, I've got to say. There's a lot, even some vapers are against disposable vapes. But the way I see it is, I lost my mum a few years ago. She was 70, and she was a sneaky smoker. She'd given up smoking and she was sneaky. So I found out, and I started getting her the Cigalike, the little cigarette disposables with the twist-on cartridges. As a reviewer, I had so many gadgets. I got her to try everything, refillables. She didn't want to know. She just wanted the simplicity. So if she was still alive, she'd want a disposable vape. She doesn't want any technology. She could just about handle charging, but she didn't want anything like that. So those are the people who are going to get hurt. People with difficulties using a refillable, rechargeable vape. Because I always think that a disposable is the equivalent of a pre-made cigarette. You want to go in a shop, buy a cigarette, come out and light it. Whereas a refillable cigarette is a bit more like a roll your own cigarette, really. But there's a lot of stop smoking services, institutions such as prisons that use disposable vapes because you can't tamper with them. They can't be putting dodgy stuff in them, so they can they'll lose those. You'll also lose the on-the-spot buyers, the ones that walk into a shop for a packet of cigarettes and they go, oh, I might try one of those. They're not going to be able to do that anymore. And, just the general vapors who forgot to take the vape out, or it's run out of battery, or they've lost it. It's so easy to go and buy a disposable rather than a packet of cigarettes.
And are there any further restrictions on the horizon?
Yes, the government are looking at flavour bans and packaging restrictions. So I haven't got much of an issue when it comes to plain packaging, as long as I can still get the products. But there are arguments that once you put plain packaging, it sort of compares vapes to cigarettes. They're in the same department as plain packaged cigarettes and tobacco. So I can see that point of view. But I mean, I'm 48. I only vape bubblegum. So it's not just kids who have sweets. I don't like tobacco flavours. I tried vaping in 2013 and all you could get at that time was menthol and tobacco, and I hated both. I put my vape kit away, sold it, didn't bother again. It just completely put me off. And I come back to it in around 2016 and started tasting flavours. And since 2019, I've stopped smoking completely. And that's down to the bubblegum. I tried everything. I've had Zyban, Champix, patches. I was allergic to the patches. I had horrific side effects from Champix and Zyban. I used to take the patches off and have a cigarette and put them back on. So the only thing that's worked for my 30-odd year smoking habit has been vaping, and vaping bubblegum. And I've tried so many tobacco flavours because I'm a reviewer. I could count about one or two that I actually like. So it's going to put a lot of people off. It really is. So we're quite worried about that side of things. So
thank you. And the last question to you, Michelle. What measures do you think would have been better than a disposable vape ban?
Well, the problem in the UK was the fact that there was no enforcement. Those that sold underage vapes, I mean, they could get caught, but there was a lot going under the net. The trading standards of the agency would enforce that. They were very underfunded. They didn't have the staff. It sort of took them by surprise, all this extra work. They'll go and do test purchases for cigarettes or alcohol. They use children, and if they get served with them, the shop owner gets fined. So, but there was very little. The fines were quite small, and there was a lot getting through the net. But with these new restrictions with the disposable vape ban, the government have said 30 million will be supplied to fund enforcement agencies such as the Border Force, HM Revenue and Customs and Trading Standards to help prevent illegal equipment and sales. If this had been done 2 years ago, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. They'd have caught them coming over the border. They'd have caught them before they got in the hands of people, because that's the other thing. Who's selling these? Are they going to be drug dealers? Are they going to be organised crime? Are young people going to be coming into contact with these sort of people, whereas they could have otherwise gone to a shop? But we don't want kids vaping. Nobody wants kids vaping. But I just think now that we've driven the market underground, you've got some of these disposables. We don't know what the electrics are like. We've had some that have started firing on their own. We don't know what the contents of the e-liquid are, what chemicals are in that. I wouldn't want to put one of them near my face. But by banning legitimate disposables, we're forcing people into that. And that's scary.
Thank you, Michelle. That's all for today. Tune in next time here on GFN TV or on our podcast. You can also find transcriptions of each episode on the GFN TV website. Thanks for watching or listening. See you next time.